speaking, so shut up!
Settle down, Dad.
This is the weirdest show ever.
That is. Oh, there's a towel. No.
Oh, God.
No. That is going to be the opening of the show.
Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
All right, guys, it's time for your personal picks for favorite multiplayer experiences this year. So start thinking of the games that you enjoyed the most on couch co-op, online co-op, or competitive, whatever it is. That's your favorite thing, and what makes it your favorite. So I'll get things started while you guys think that through a little bit. I think the most fun I've had multiplayer this year has been with Dauntless with my kiddos, and 4 of us will team up. We'll go out there and hunt monsters together. It's a surprisingly deep game for a game that's free. You can do tons of gear and weapon upgrading. The combat is simple but fun. It is repetitive when you're playing with a couple 8-year-olds and a 12-year-old. Like it's fine. Like it's exactly what it's not too complex. It's basically Monster Hunter for babies, and it's a lot of fun. So,
and I need Monster Hunter with training wheels.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Although Monster Hunter World itself is kind of like regular
Monster Hunter with training wheels.
But
it is.
anyway,
Absolutely.
all that to say, I think Dauntless was the most fun I've personally had. I couldn't put it on any of my top 10 lists in most other areas, but as far as multiplayer goes, it's the most fun that I've had this year. Freitas, what about you? What's the most fun you've had multiplaying?
Multiple playings.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sound like such a dude, bro, but it's Call of Duty.
Yeah, man, that was close to my.
Very surprised at myself, to pick that, but I would say definitely, it's very good. So it's fun.
Call of Duty was a blast. I know a lot of people who are regular annual Call of Duty purchasers did not like the multiplayer this year.
Yeah,
I loved it because it got rid of tons of the kind of sci-fi-esque stuff from Black Ops that I was kind of getting tired of.
Yeah, whatever those issues they had, I don't know what those issues are, so it's just fun to me. So.
Yeah, exactly.
See, and I'm happy to hear that because as a not Call of Duty player, I'm afraid to jump online and if they feel.
Kyle, let's get on and play together. I'm not good either, so let's do it.
Let's do it. Hey, let's suck
Kyle,
together.
Let's do it.
All right.
I think I said last time, sometimes I'll play a match and I'll legitimately be like, whoa, I got like 20 kills. That's like never happened when I play Call of Duty before. And then like the next match I'll have 5. So just don't even stress it,
I'll get like 30 kills in one match, and then the very next match I'll get 0 and die.
Exactly.
I am a regular Call of Duty player, and I do play it every year. And I have heard some people don't like it as much, but I think it's one of the best multiplayer suites they've had in the last 5-6 years. And I play it every year, and I really enjoy it. But I was kind of over the whole Black Ops 4, Black Ops 3, and
you don't want a wall run anymore.
No, I didn't, and I really liked World War II when they kind of brought it back more boots to the ground, and I think this just kind of takes it back full circle, right back to Modern Warfare. It was Modern Warfare Call of Duty 4, the first time I ever got into Call of Duty multiplayer, and
it's a lot of people's entry point.
And
so it's cool that we're coming.
Yeah, it totally brings it back to me. It's just like that feeling I got playing that for the first time. It just feels, like they did it right again.
So Phillips, is that your pick for favorite multiplayer this year? Do you have something else?
No, it's actually not, and I have to give a huge shout out to Call of Duty. I mean, that is my multiplayer game. I play every year, and I have a great time playing with friends, random people. I played with a few of you guys, but one of my favorite, most surprising ones was probably Borderlands 3. I've never been a big Borderlands player, but I did get in with some randoms. Whatever those trial type, Destiny Strike things that were there, the cooperative strikes. I like things like that, I like things where you can do things cooperatively. Playing through the story missions, even just a random person or two hopping into my game, it kind of does what Diablo does. It ups the difficulty, but you get better loot and stuff like that. So it really makes it beneficial playing together with people, and it's just mayhem, craziness, and a good time.
Dan, did you get the season pass or did you just buy the game?
I bought the game, but I just bought the new DLC that came out.
All right, let's co-op that.
I'm ready to co-op that. I want to get back into it. I want to play more end-game stuff. I really dig Borderlands.
I just started the new DLC, and actually, since Dan just mentioned Borderlands 3, I'm going to say it too. I actually have 3 games I want to mention, but I'm going to make it real quick so we're not stuck on this forever. Borderlands 3 is my favorite. for obvious reasons. I just love the co-op, and I did same thing as Dan. I leveled up by playing those forget the name of it, but they're basically like mini strikes, and then obviously you can co-op through the story. The other two are more surprising. Code Vein, I absolutely love playing Code Vein. It already comes with an AI partner, but you can add a real life person as well, and I played with Jesse White last night. You can also add random. So this game is the perfect like Souls type experience, because if you do get stuck, not like Sekiro, you can actually move forward in the game by just simply asking for help. So it's a great co-op experience. They make it real easy to do as well. Like Jesse White was connecting with me like that. It was
so
super
it
fast.
actually works, unlike multiplayer in Dark Souls.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
it actually
Dark
works.
Souls
Yeah, Dark
and
Souls is
Bloodborne.
kind of a chore.
I
You
love-
don't see your
yeah.
glyph yet.
I love multiplayer in Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne, but holy cow, just
It's
how
annoying.
hard
It's
is
a
it to
chore.
get into
You
a
always
game?
have to
It's
wait. Homework, man.
Oh my god, yes.
Code Vein, within 20 seconds he was in my game
So-
every time. And
Okay.
we had to disconnect
That's
and
impressive.
reconnect all the
So
time.
you literally
It's
can just
cool.
play the entire story like with someone, or
Yeah, if you want.
that's
to.
pretty cool.
That is cool.
And then my
super cool.
actual favorite experience is Apex Legends. It did come out
Oh.
earlier this year.
Really fun.
I had the
really
most fun with that.
Yeah, really fun.
Yep,
Kyle, what
it'd
about
be like
you?
to a battle royale.
What was your favorite multiplayer experience this year?
For me, gosh, I'm such an antisocial gamer. I think Jeff and I played World War Z a few times.
That's fun.
I like that game.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the Division 2. That was fun. Borderlands 3 was already mentioned. And I hate to sound like the cheerleader, and I swear I'm not going to be cheering for this game much because I haven't beaten it yet. But Death Stranding does have the best, for me as a single player gamer, the best community style multiplayer
Right.
game.
Very
for me.
unique.
Yeah, it's
approach to
interesting.
multiplayer.
Yeah.
It's the most unique thing. It's the most unique thing I've seen in gaming this generation
Yeah.
since the Nemesis system.
Yeah, sure.
And the Lord of the Rings
I
games.
love
Yep.
the Nemesis system. Yeah.
Yeah,
Me
that
too.
is- it
Me
it
too,
is
Tim.
amazing.
And I think these two things are just these are the innovative high points and pillars of our entire generation.
Did we just
It's the
become
Nemesis
best
system
friends?
in
Okay.
this game.
Do we both
Kyle,
love
I'm
Strand
I'm already
games?
DMing you.
Kyle, did Death Stranding touch your PP like Journey touched many other people's PPs with the way they...
Journey touched my PP. If it didn't touch yours, you don't feel things.
Yeah, if it didn't touch yours,
Sorry.
you don't have a.
All right.
Can you not say
Jeff,
PP? Can you
what
say
was your
wee
favorite
wee?
I've proven
multiplayer
I do
experience
not
this
have
year?
a
Can you say wee wee instead?
I'm like Kyle. I mean, Kyle. I thought Remnant would be your answer, but
Oh yeah, Remnant.
Remnant was
probably
fun.
would've been.
Yeah.
Remnant was great.
but I don't really play a lot of with friends because I don't like my friends.
Fair. Yeah.
But
I don't like you either.
but Division 2 is one that Kyle just mentioned. I enjoyed playing that with people. That's probably the only one I did.
And you
Tetris
didn't really
99
have to
is-
know anyone. Like it matches you up with others who are about to run
Yeah.
these major story
Yeah,
missions.
that's fun. I like calling randoms in to help me beat a mission. That was fun.
Yeah, you didn't have to talk to him either. Yeah.
Tetris 99 I thought was really cool.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say
that was very
Yeah,
cool
yeah,
experience.
absolutely.
That was a battle royale I actually like.
Yeah.
And the thing about that
Same
is you
here.
don't really have to communicate with it. It could have been AI for all we know, but you happen to know
Yeah.
it's players. But that's really cool.
Yeah, that was really fun. I like that experience.
And I love that
Kyle-
Nintendo just kind of surprise released it as a free download. If you had Switch Online, just go download Tetris 99. I'm like, what is this?
Very
Yeah.
cool perk. Very cool
Yeah.
perk. Yeah.
Mhm.
Kyle mentioned the it's not traditionally multiplayer, but Death Stranding really impressed the crap out of me with the way
Sure.
it implemented other people's map into yours and stuff. I thought that was rad.
Very cool. All right.
Shout out
So
to
it
Mortal
touched
Kombat? No? I mean, come on. Derek, what are you doing?
It touched you, Jeff.
Yeah, Derek, where were you on that?
Yeah.
Jeff, look into my eyes as I talk about Death Stranding touching.
Actually, Derek is terrible at online with fighting games, right? Is that what the issue is?
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna.
He's
what do
like,
you want
I
me
love
to?
to look
You
at
want me
them,
to?
but I
put
don't
on
wanna
my
play them with
type and
anybody.
defend myself? No, I don't play those games.
But they look amazing. All right.
They do.
Guys, it's time to talk about story. There are some really good stories
Ah!
told through video games, and we're going to talk about the best story. By the way, as you noticed with our deliberations here, we kind of adjusted on the fly. There was really no point in saying, hey, what's the best action game after already talking about favorite combat? We kind of covered that. So we're skipping more of the genre and talking more about what about this element of this game. So it's concentrating on the combat. Now we're talking about story. So instead of talking about what's our favorite adventure game, we talked about favorite open world, now it's favorite story. So anyway.
Story's a good one. I like that.
Story's a
category
good one. So I'm
lot.
looking forward to this one. There's a whole lot of games that told some really interesting stories this year. And so I will go ahead and go through the list of games that jumped out at me right away. I know it's a pretty long list. And then we're going to go through and we're going to suggest really as quickly as we can games to get rid of, and we'll start with games we haven't played. So I'm going to go through this list, and I'm actually going to pause as I go through it to ask if anyone's actually played it, if it's one that I'm not sure about. So here we go. A Plague Tale Innocence, AI The Somnium Files. Has anyone played this one? Somnium Files?
No.
Okay. Dan, have you played it? Dan Phillips?
Nope.
Okay. I'm going to get rid of it, but I just wanted to let people know that's one that gets a lot of love. It got great reviews as a kind of an anime-style visual novel game. I haven't played it myself. So we're getting it off the list. Anthem, Astral Chain.
Get rid of it.
Anthem's number one. What are you talking about? It's always number one.
All right, we can drop Anthem already. That's fine.
I like that.
Okay.
All right, Astral Chain, Blood and Truth, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, Borderlands 3, Call of Duty, Code Vein, Concrete Genie, Control, Days Gone, Death Stranding, Devil May Cry 5, Disco Elysium, Dragon Quest Builders 2, Fire Emblem, Gears 5, Ghost Giant, Indivisible, Judgment, Kingdom Hearts 3, Life is Strange 2, Luigi's Mansion 3, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Metro Exodus, MK11, Odinaki, Outer Wilds, Pokemon, Rage 2, Remnant, Resident Evil 2, Sekiro, Shakedown Hawaii, Shenmue 3, Star Wars, SteamWorld Quest, Man of Medan, The Division 2, Link's Awakening, The Outer Worlds, The Surge 2, Void Bastards, Wargroove, Wolfenstein, Arise, Observation, and Telling Lies. I'm going to get this train started by suggesting a few to remove. Feel free to let me know if you're not ready to let it go yet. Let's not start debating the details of the games yet. Just tell me, just flag it if you're like, I'm not ready to let that one go yet. So I'm going to start with Void Bastards. Story. Best story.
No, remove it.
Okay.
That's not why I like that game.
Yep, get rid of it.
All right. Has anyone played enough of The Surge 2 to make a case for that being best story?
Nope.
All right, that one's going to go too. Has anyone played Shenmue 3?
Nope.
I think you just have to be somebody who's super into Shenmue.
That's what reviews say.
Shenmue fans like Shenmue 3.
Agree with that.
That's just how it works. Yeah.
I have played a good amount of SteamWorld Quest, but I don't think it's got the best story, so I'm going to delete that one.
You could probably take off Shakedown Hawaii.
Same with Shakedown Hawaii.
Division 2 could probably go.
Yeah, it's
Division 2.
Yeah,
classic
I
Tom Clancy.
do think they improved the story from the first.
They did improve it. I'll acknowledge
that. Good job of giving you context to why you're doing things.
Yeah, and that's all the story's there for.
Yeah, Division 2 can go away though as far as best story. I think Rage 2 story was not good.
Yep,
so
no, get it out of
Was
here.
there a story in that game?
You're right.
There was, and it was really they really half-assed it.
I don't recall it, and I remember rolling credits on that. So
any reason to keep Pokemon in, or is it pretty standard? Little kid gets a monster and goes.
There's no story in that game. I want to be the best, and guess what? You become the best.
Yep, standard, basic. Get it out of here.
Hey, it's a nice dream, Kyle. All right, gee.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm the killjoy here.
All right. Mortal Kombat 11 had an interesting single-player mode. Would it be considered for best story this year?
I'd say leave it on there. I don't know if it's top 10, but leave it on.
Not ready to let it go.
I'm ready to get rid of it yet, but I don't know.
Okay, that's totally fine. The only reason I wanted to acknowledge Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is because I actually really enjoyed the Saturday morning cartoon story. It's not one of the 10 best this year by any stretch, but I really enjoyed the Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
Cheesy,
fun.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was. It was like an animated Saturday morning cartoon.
That's exactly what it was.
Yep, it was fine.
And I was going to say, as repetitive as that game is, combat-wise, the story is definitely why I kept playing it.
Yeah, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 was a lot of fun. Not top 10 worthy, so I'm going to remove it, but just wanted to acknowledge that it's a good, fun story.
It's fun.
Luigi's Mansion 3, not really story-heavy.
No.
By the way, big spoilers here, guys. You go to this golden hotel, all is what it seems. Okay, it's not golden.
Tim, why are you telling everybody?
Come on, here's the story. Your friends get kidnapped.
So there's
your
not a
friends
mansion
in
Luigi's Mansion.
It's the same plot as the last two.
Yep.
Plot twist.
Has anyone played? This is a game I really want to play on VR, but I haven't played it yet. Has anyone played Ghost Giant?
I haven't. No.
Sounds like a giant waste of time. So.
All I know is that you are the giant. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like that Iron Giant cartoon where you're this big, kind of lovable.
That's a good movie.
Okay, I've heard of this. Then
so
I've
it
heard
looks
good things
interesting,
about it.
but none of us have played it, so I gotta get rid of it. Okay, Dragon Quest Builders 2. I don't think has the strongest of stories.
Nah.
Get rid of that one.
I mean, it does have a story, but
is it worth keeping on the list?
Nah.
I don't.
Okay.
Nah.
Okay. I'm trying to get rid of the obvious ones here. Jeff, you played Concrete Genie. I know it's got a pretty strong story. Is it top 10 worthy?
It's a decent story. This game is, and there's nothing wrong with this. This game is definitely geared towards kids, so there's not a whole lot of depth to the story. It's just
is it going to
like,
be tough for you to make a case to 5 others who haven't played it that this is one of the best 10 stories?
Absolutely, it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah. Right. I'm actually probably going to play it tonight because I got it for Christmas, so I'm kind of.
It's decent,
yeah.
and you know, and
yeah.
And you weren't here during the visuals argument, but I basically acknowledged, like in the first hour, I felt like I'd seen everything it had to offer visually.
Oh, okay.
But, I've seen that
I get why people like it.
Yeah. It's a story about bullying. Or
it sounds endearing. Like
you're restoring vibrancy to your town that's been taken over by monsters or something via like sparkly spray paint or something like that.
Yeah.
It sounds like Derek would love it.
Oh yeah. I do want to say I did check out Arise, A Simple Story. Like I just started it while you guys were boring me talking. It's absolutely stunning looking, by the way. Just want to
so it should have been on the top list, is what you're saying.
Oh, I think it could have beat some of the games we had. Yeah.
Oh, cool, great.
Artistically, it looks really good.
Great timing.
Still only
as
2
always.
of us, you know. So
Thanks for your input. Appreciate it.
Great timing as always. All right. I think it's one of the best campaigns they've had in years, but do we think that the Call of Duty story is top 10 worthy?
It might be.
No, I thought the story was good, and it was probably a lot better than the last ones, but it is just kind of like a blockbuster popcorn war flick. And
with some cool twists, though, right?
Well, there was
I think the story is kind of the same that you would get from any military shooter. You know, hey, the world's gonna get blown up by some crazy person.
Do it very well.
The story is like everyone takes something different from a story. Like for me, it's like how it makes me kind of feel, and Derek always makes fun of me for having emotions and being a human being because he's not.
It's okay.
But if
I was going to say thanks for cutting me off, but what makes this Call of Duty better than the other ones is they pulled off the stories of the individual characters.
That is true.
So
that is very
make
true.
You feel for the characters in this game. Do I think it's top 10 worthy? Actually, maybe.
I'm gonna give it a maybe. Let's hold on to that.
I don't
for a
think we
second.
should get rid of it.
Even I'm throwing out a maybe.
We should see where we're at when we cut this list.
All right,
down.
so I tried a little bit of Blood and Truth, but I didn't finish it. I was very underwhelmed at every aspect of this based on the reviews.
Get it out
I
of
had
here.
read.
Yep.
So can I get rid of Blood and Truth?
Get him out.
What about Astral Chain? Did you guys like the story?
I didn't play it enough to really give you. All I know is it was very cheesy.
I never played
you know
it.
What it reminded me of?
I can't imagine it's great.
When I was a kid, we used to go to this amusement park in Ohio called Kings Island, and they had this ride because it used to be owned by Paramount, and so all their rides were movie themed for Paramount movies. And so one of their rides was a James Bond theater experience where you go in there and the chairs were like motorized and they moved around and kind of
like Mom,
he was
the ride.
And so basically that's what I felt like Blood and Truth was, where you're getting a first person, but someone else is really doing most of the work. And every once in a while you use your move controllers to kind of aim or kind of grab something and unlock a door or whatever. But from what I played, it was all very cheesy and hokey. It felt very like B, maybe even C movie quality. So I don't know. I'm going to get rid of it.
Okay.
I feel the same way about Astral Chain. There's better anime stories out there, and I think it's got some interesting moments. I think the beginning of Astral Chain, by the way, if you haven't there's a big story turn where a lot of things change in this big battle, and you kind of discover what makes your character so special. I do think that is a really cool moment, and there's some cool story beats there.
There's cool setup, yeah.
There's cool setup.
I think on the heels of Nier, which is like really there's some existential moments in Nier.
To that game.
This story pales in comparison to what
I'm getting just now that you mentioned Nier, I'm deleting like
the music too.
Astral Chain makes me so mad that it exists, and it's not a bad game. I don't know. I just have this weird relationship with it. I'm sorry.
Tim, can we just go back to best music and put Nier Automata on there?
Just put it back.
God.
Yeah, we already did.
Nier is trash. You guys overrated that.
Nier is amazing.
I feel like
Nier's
I just
great.
heard like static. That's all I heard.
Guess what? There was a lady main character, so he thinks women
Eric,
are trash.
You didn't finish all three of those chapters.
What
right?
it is.
Hashtag women are trash.
You didn't finish all 3 playthroughs of Nier, right?
No, I just did the first playthrough.
Yeah, you got to do the second too.
No,
it was so brave and stunning. It was so brave and stunning. As I looked up her skirt the entire time.
All right. So anyway, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm actually playing this game right now, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. But I don't think the story of Borderlands 3 is all that great.
I am.
I love it, but it's not tough.
No, I'm 100% with you on that. I thought it was serviceable for what it wanted you to do, but I mean, it was nothing groundbreaking. Evil set of twins that want to destroy everything. So go stop them.
I think the story in Borderlands is always just a means to an end. Again, we're just describing, hey, you're doing this because of
Yeah.
It's like Division 2.
Right.
Like Division
Yeah.
2, but more spectacle and more.
Yeah, it's
character,
a little more humor and
Fart
fun to
jokes,
it, but
Well,
it's
humor, that's
not.
subjective,
Yeah,
right?
I thought it was.
I thought it was funny too. But
I thought it was kind of trash humor. I mean, I thought most of it felt pretty flat for me. I only laughed at, at a few things, and it was usually claptrap. But
it's because it felt recycled. A lot of that.
did.
Yeah,
feels
I
like-
was gonna say, compared to Borderlands and Borderlands 2, which Borderlands 2 is the best,
Oh, so
and even
good.
Borderlands pre-sequel, this Borderlands 3 humor was the worst that they
Yeah.
released. And
and they lost Anthony Birch, who is like the writer
Yeah.
of Borderlands 2, and that's why that game is so sharp. Like its wit, not its wit. Ugh, that's not the right word. It's humor, its quickness on its humor and everything. There's no wit in that game.
but also,
More
But,
like tumor. Am I right?
oh,
right?
right.
but also, what I was gonna say, going back to what I said earlier about Call of Duty, like basically having that same old story, but they nailed the characters. There was nobody in Borderlands 3 I cared about, and they had multiple like scenes where they wanted you to care, and I was like,
Well,
no.
well, there's some people I even like actively disliked.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, ugh, I don't want to do missions for you anymore.
13-year-old
Yep,
rat girl.
Yep.
like,
I
died
ran a
already,
few of those
please.
side characters. They were painful.
We are going to move
Yeah,
on
they're-
from
yeah.
Borderlands 3. That's going to come back up with
Okay,
overall game of
that's
the
fair.
year because it certainly is deserving of consideration there, just not for
Very
story.
fun.
I'm
Very
going to
fun.
suggest we get rid of Remnant from the Ashes. Kind of a cool setup, but story-wise, there's not a lot there.
It's kind of light. There's a lot of lore if you dive into it, but I wouldn't call it a good story.
You can
As
take
much
off.
as I love this game, do we think that Sekiro Shadows Die Twice has a good enough story? It's got a really cool lore and setup, but is it top 10 of the year? Maybe it is. Maybe
No,
we keep it for now.
I don't know. I didn't get through enough of it,
I was
but I
gonna
mean,
say,
the
did
20
anybody
hours or so I
experience
got
the
through,
full story?
I thought it was fairly well for what From Software does. It wasn't so hidden in the lore like Dark Souls can be and Bloodborne,
Yeah.
but it's still just. I mean, to me, it's a different kind of
Code Vein is
storytelling,
better.
and it's not what I would.
liked that they gave
it's
you a
not the
named
strength.
character that you didn't create. It was like an existing character. I liked that. That was new for them.
Yep.
You didn't create some
It
kind
was
of.
cool
That's
idea.
true. You know,
voiceless
Well, and just the
person.
amount of cutscenes felt like overabundant for that game, but in a good way. I mean,
Yeah.
there's more from Software than we got in the past.
I'm cutting that one. Did anyone play The Man of Medan, or should we cut it?
Man, I'm a damn.
I don't think it's
Man,
top
I'm
Yeah,
I
He's
heard it was
not
not.
I didn't play it.
It was not their best outing.
Can we all
so-
just say it one more time?
No.
The Man of Medan.
Man,
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 Man. Shout out to Easy
I'm
Allies.
gonna damn, I'm a damn.
I'm gonna say we get rid of Link's Awakening. I love what
Yes.
they do with that Zelda story, and I love the twist at the end.
cool
and
story.
it's a
So,
little bit.
no, the twist at the end is just a spoiler for Link's Awakening is he's asleep, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and it's,
Kinda, a little bit.
It's
Yeah.
hinted at the entire game.
Well, I know, and that's what I thought. Like the whole game, like I was under the impression this was all just a dream,
Thanks
and
for
then
spoiling it.
yeah, when I got to the end, and I was like, okay, is this the
He
big
said
twist
spoiler.
everybody talks about? Because I saw it coming a mile away. So
Well, it's
Well,
that
Derek
he's asleep,
didn't,
but
so.
also there is a moment after that where he wakes up where there's still like, oh, maybe it really did happen. There's a little bit of
No,
that.
Yeah, I guess
it's,
they're-
like he probably like the idea is he's probably was existing in that reality and he destroyed it the moment he
Yeah.
like stopped the wind.
Exactly.
Okay.
So like it happened, but it didn't happen.
Which is why the
because, like,
villain
that
basically tells
reality's
you like
gone
you're going to
now.
destroy everyone if you do this.
yeah, and
Well, that's the
okay.
thing. Like, you're kind of the bad guy in that game.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's kind of like, you can't destroy
Well,
the windfish. Don't do it. And you're like,
we're
I'm gonna
yeah,
do
we're
it.
all gonna die.
Is he the
Destroy
bad
the
guy
world.
if they're not real at all?
Yeah, even
But-
the
but
bosses
to
are
me,
like,
it
if
was
you
just-
do it. Like, well,
Good
like
question.
stop it. Don't do that.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna do it.
To me, it was just him waking up from a dream, and it never really existed. But it was fine. Not the greatest
Thanks for
story
the
of the year.
spoilers,
It's
guys.
not. It's not.
Hey, I
Thanks, yeah.
You're
That game
never
is like
going to
30
finish
years old,
it. Get out of
so-
here. You're never going to finish
Never
it.
gonna.
Yeah,
Never
those
finish it, I think, guys.
those last few
Those last
dungeons
few
were
dungeons, I mean, it
annoying.
really strives on the puzzle element in that game in a different way than
Yeah, and
than
that's
any
a
other
turnoff for players.
2D Zelda game, and I got a little bored with it by the end.
All right,
Puzzles
so
really bother me.
can we get rid of Devil May Cry 5 for story? We can
Yeah.
wait.
Man,
I'm
there's
not
a
gonna
lot of
fight
fan
for it.
service
I'd wait
in that
a
game,
little
but I don't
bit.
know if it's gonna
All
be
right,
top
let's wait.
10.
I wait a little bit. You can
Let's
remove
wait.
Indivisible, to be honest.
Okay, what about Judgment?
Judgment's amazing. Top 10.
Good story?
Easily. Amazing story.
Okay. What about Metro Exodus?
I don't know.
I got like
I didn't-
12
I
or
didn't
14
get-
hours into that game.
That one is one I feel like I should have finished before I develop an opinion on it. It started great, from what I remember, but if I had finished it, I'd be able to, tell you guys, hey, this
But
is
do we
great.
have anyone who could really defend it for a top 10?
I played like 3 hours of it.
Yeah,
Played like 14 hours of it and I can't defend it
All right.
the way that y'all would want me to.
Observation.
That's all story. That's
Okay.
like
Let's hold on. Let's hold on to that
We're
one.
gonna hold on because I'll explain it to you guys when we.
That's fine.
have
We'll
to
get there.
deliberate.
Oninaki.
Why don't you spoil it for us, Jeff?
I'm not gonna spoil it.
It's an interesting world. I wouldn't call it a top 10 story.
Oninaki has a really interesting and dark premise. I
It
haven't
does.
played
It
it
really
enough
does.
to know if the story is good.
Well, I finished the whole thing. I really liked, I guess, how you just said really dark and morose and.
It goes for it.
Yeah, it's super sad. It's a super bummer of a game, and I don't know. I'd hold on to that one. I don't think it's gonna be top 10, but I'd hold on to it.
Okay.
I like the I Am Setsuna a little more, but
Okay.
I really like how morose this game is. So.
Yeah.
I apologize ahead of time, but can Resident Evil 2 come off the best story list?
Yes.
Like the story is like ridiculous.
Okay.
Whoa, why is that coming off? It's a great.
I mean, I love Resident Evil 2. I love that whole universe.
no.
But let's get real. Like those stories
Here's-
are
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous.
Well, it's
the
always
thing.
the same thing too.
Here's the thing. Most Resident Evil stories aren't necessarily meant to be a groundbreaking narrative. Now, I do think, like 7, for example, actually tells a pretty compelling story.
I actually thought 7 was good.
I thought so.
7
too.
had a pretty
7 was
compelling
good,
story.
too.
That being said, for the most part, that's not why you bought Resident Evil. You bought it because you want the scares and the spooks and the zombies and the,
But
that's
are
why
we
you
taking
bought it.
this in the context of it being remade? Because it was goofy as hell back in the day, but it's not that goofy now. It's a little goofy.
It plays more serious.
Its
now,
most
for sure,
improved
I will say
story,
that.
it gets the award for that.
I will
Yes.
say that.
Yes, but see, my thing is it a silly story? Yeah. And
It
did
is.
they ever make me feel like I care about any of those characters? No.
All right, then it's all
That's where it fell flat.
I care about them.
Everyone in that game feels invincible to me, and you know who's gonna live, and you know who's gonna. Even when you played it back in the day, you're like, these are the main. Like I don't know. Everyone just you just know how.
How do
that
you not
story's
care
gonna
for
go.
Claire and Leon? You guys are monsters.
All right, we're gonna keep going.
No,
here.
they're gonna make it. They're survivors.
We're gonna
Like,
keep
you know
going. We're
they're
gonna
make it.
we're gonna get rid of War Groove for story.
Okay,
Good.
Cool.
Yep.
I'm fine with
War
that.
Groove
I
is
like
a
that
really
game,
fun game, but
yeah,
it's not a great
best
story. It's fine. It's just not
Yeah.
great.
I just want to say Mortal Kombat 11 actually has a really good
Well,
story.
I said keep that one, so.
Yeah, we already said keep it.
So that one's on there for
Yeah,
now.
we said keep it. God,
I agree. I like that.
Did
game,
anyone
so-
play all the episodes of Life is Strange 2 or enough to
I did.
speak to?
I did.
I heard
You
it's
gotta,
not
you gotta
good.
jump in here, bud.
I did, but I really liked it. But
Compared to the
10, though.
first one, though?
yeah, compared to the first one and weighing it in with the 10 best, it's
Really?
just not. It's
I
not
played
one
the
of the 10
I
best.
played the first episode recently, and it was really moving.
Dude, the first
like it's
episode's
supposed to
great.
be,
I played
but-
that too. I played the first episode. It was free on
Yeah.
Game
Yeah.
Pass or something.
The
Yep, that's
the
how
first
I-
Life is Strange is like still like
Ooh.
embedded in my mind.
There's no.
That Life is Strange
Gets
like
me.
affected my soul.
Oh, yeah.
in,
Yeah,
like
I
ways
hear you.
that I can't
There's
explain.
no there's no school setting in this one, so you're constantly on the run and it's always adjusting.
Yeah.
And so you're
I
before
really
you really
feel
get
like you guys
acclimated
should
with
be
an
wearing
area.
tight pants.
Do what?
I said I really feel like you guys, the way you talk about these type of games, you guys should be the ones wearing tight pants, not me.
I just
But we
can't
don't,
hear.
so-
It's
Yeah,
just
you
static
wear
right
them.
now.
Yeah.
Just all static.
We wear normal
weird.
pants and you tuck it in, so that's on you.
Yeah.
You're the emotional little baby. Go on.
I would remove. I feel totally comfortable saying
Um,
you guys can remove it because the first episode is great setup, and then
Kinda
it's a
dies
little
from there.
redundant, and
Okay.
then it ends, and you're kind of like,
How does it
"Oh, okay."
how does it compare to something like Observation that is another kind of purely story type game?
Observation? Well, because I have a sci-fi bias, Observation is like, I mean, one of the best probably the best sci-fi story all year. If I'm being honest, like
You're
even
making
if
me
you
want to
weigh
play
in other
you-
mediums.
Jeff's selling me on this and on Arise. Like you're making me
wanted-
buy games.
I've wanted to
Jeff.
play Observation the second I saw it. It did look very, very good, so.
Yeah, so it's not just like the gameplay being interesting. Of
Is it out on
the AI.
Xbox?
Yeah, PS4 and Windows.
PS4 Windows.
Yeah.
I got a question for
Eric,
you guys.
go buy this game and play it real quick and let us know how the story is.
I'm booting it
Back
up
in
right
4
now.
hours.
So I got a question for you guys. Has anybody played the final season of The Walking Dead?
I
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
No, I did not. I did not.
No, I did not.
Okay.
I did. I didn't.
will,
I didn't
though,
write
because
it in
I
there
played all the
'cause-
other seasons. I just haven't gotten to
Yeah, I have it on PC. I'm gonna play it, but I was curious if anybody thinks that that's
It's
top
good,
10
but
worthy.
the end. I knew it wouldn't make the top 10, and I couldn't really defend because the last 2 episodes were made by whatever was left
The
over.
Skeleton
Skybound
Crew?
or whoever.
Skybound
And
Studios.
They
yeah.
made the penultimate episode super long for some reason, and I'm like, okay, this can come on. Can we?
All right, well-
can we end it?
We can only talk through and debate the games that we've really played and want to make a case for. So Life is Strange 2 is coming off. We might regret that in a year if we ever revisit this and re-rank games from this year.
Probably not though. It's good, but
will we regret it? Will we?
We're getting rid of it. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't have bought it if you were all mad about it, Jeff. Come on.
Can we get rid of Bloodstained Ritual of the Night?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's serviceable story, but like not.
Can I just give a shout out though, because I don't think I mentioned it on the last episode. Solid Snake is in that game, basically.
Yeah, he's the
David Hayter.
He is. Good job.
Literally, he does literally Solid Snake. Like he just does Solid Snake, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really
Very
cool.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start preserving some games. We've whittled it down the list by about half already. So let's start keeping some games in. I'd like to say we need to keep A Plague Tale in the top 10.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's a great story.
Yeah,
it is a great story.
It's amazing. I haven't played it.
I'm in the last 2 hours of it right now. Jesus, that game.
I'm halfway through it, and I'm just hooked on it.
Dude, I might replay it. I think it's that. To me, it strikes me as like, as we're watching shows that come out like The Witcher and some of these darker, really deep story type shows, it strikes me in that same vein. It's very dark. It's got a foreboding but intriguing world. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
Is that game still on sale? You guys are killing it right
some
now.
Of the imagery in that is
it is really good.
Tough.
Yeah.
Yep. No, really good.
Sorry, Jeff. I was gonna buy Observation, but on Epic Store it's $12.49 without the $10 discount, and therefore I am not buying.
$10.
How much is it on PS4? Let's get it on PS4. How much is it?
You mean you get it on PS4 and I don't?
Dad, can you buy me a
on
video
PS4? And it makes more sense to play it on PC because when you're the AI, you kind of have to click around a lot. But PS4 is still a good play.
What if you don't have a PC? All right, let's keep moving. Freitas, what's one that you would want to keep on their best story list here? Kingdom Hearts 3?
Yes.
That's rude.
Yes.
Rude.
All right.
Because the other one I was going to choose, somebody else is probably going to choose it. So.
Okay, Kyle, what would you keep on this list?
I feel low-hanging fruit. We got to choose Outer Wilds. It's pure story.
Outer Wilds?
Oh, I'm sorry, the Outer Worlds.
Oh, thank you. I was going to say,
why is that still there?
Someone has it highlighted right now, and it's just my brain is
Tim, why is that still there? What are you doing?
Get Outer Wilds out of here.
Tim, just so you know, Observation is on sale, 50% off on the PlayStation Store. So it's also
it's like $13.
I'll buy it. Yeah. I'll buy it on there, Derek. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Really cool, man.
By the way, I will say this. I like to give people a hard time who like to listen to Giant Bomb, but I listen to it as well. They're doing their deliberations right now, their discussions on Game of the Year. Some of their stuff they say really makes me interested in playing it. Some of the stuff is I just can't stop rolling my eyes at how dumb they sound. But that being said, the way they've described Outer Wilds makes me feel like I at least want to watch a YouTube summary because it sounds like the way it wraps up and there's some emotional moments at the end. It sounds like the story is actually not bad. It just takes a while to get there. So, but
I think the gameplay gets in the way too much of the story for us to keep it on here, though.
Yeah,
totally. All right, so we're getting rid of Outer Wilds. Jeff, what would you keep?
Oh boy. Death Stranding.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
That was going to be the other one that I say. So.
All right, Dan.
Yes.
I didn't want to be the guy.
Phillips, what
I
would you
want to be the guy, the Kojima cuck or whatever.
That's me. We're not allowed to say that, Jeff. Don't say that.
All right. Well, I would be okay.
I don't like
that. We can't say that.
Jesus.
Tim, we all know it's valid. I mean, let's.
All right, Dan Phillips, what would you keep on this list?
I think you guys could definitely fight me on this, but Star Wars, I would say, had a really good story. For what it did within that universe, I don't, necessarily argue that Star Wars is the best storytelling in
I was going to save it next if you didn't. So yeah.
But I really liked what they did with this game, the story,
and
the
for
payoff.
Anyone who hasn't finished this game, you got to
payoff
get to
at the end is so good, and it definitely. I thought it earned it. It was great.
Electrifying.
Yeah, so good.
Just incredible.
Derek, what would you keep on this list for best story?
Oh, you guys got rid of Rocket League.
Let's put it on there. Tim,
I don't see Greedfall on this list. Where's Greedfall?
Yeah, dude. What the hell? Greedfall?
Where's Greedfall?
Tim! You did Control F and then you typed in Greedfall, didn't you? And then you just delete it every time Greedfall is mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay, can I just be honest with you? And this is legitimate. This was earlier this afternoon as I was looking through the list again. I actually noticed I don't have Greedfall on the best story list. But I almost added it, but I was like, I want to see if Derek even notices it's not here.
Of course.
And he did.
And you didn't notice. So it's
He did
I'll be
now.
honest with you. This is the first time I've looked at the list, so I haven't even. I was like just looking at it now.
Sure. Yep.
all right. Anyway, do you want us to add it on? Is that one you want to save, or is there a different one you want to save?
I mean, I think it could be top 10, but I don't think anybody would fight for it with me.
I just haven't played it enough. I think
that's what that would be my issue. Like, the setup is good enough. I like the characters. I was talking about how most game stories aren't that great. I think it's whether they get you to care about characters or not and their stories. I think Greedfall so far has done that. But for me, I'm gonna pick Gears 5.
Yeah.
Yep. I thought they nailed the story
Such a
on
good
this
story.
one.
Yep, really, really good. And I'm glad they didn't have the annoying, like, major cliffhanger that Ford had. Ford had too much of a kind of, the story just kind of ended without really having an ending. So I'm glad that they...
I know, and some people complained about, like, the big thing was what was going on with Kate and how they answered it real fast.
That was great.
I thought they did that perfectly so they could move the story on.
Yeah, move it to the bigger thing, this bigger, larger threat. I thought how they put her and made her front and center and then carried it through to this normal Gears story. I thought it was very well done.
What did people want? Another crappy Hellblade? No, we don't need that.
All right, guys, I'd like to suggest that we need to keep Control on this list. I think that story is bizarre and wacky, but really fascinating and interesting. I think it's unique.
I had no idea you guys would bring up Control again. Can we talk about the concrete one more time?
It's actual visualization choice. So I can walk you through it again.
I think the Control story is crazy. It feels very personal, but also very dreamlike. But wait, is this real? And so it's all over the place. And I'm actually really intrigued in March when they release their first.
I actually thought the story was absolutely stupid. Like I believe it should be in the top 10. I know you guys like it, but I know I'm not alone in this. I think if some people are honest, they'll say it kind of is just dumb, and like even the way it ends is just stupid and predictable. So I'm not high on it, but I know it's gonna be.
I might
hard disagree. It's probably gonna be a top.
I think Derek just doesn't get like David Lynch type of stuff.
It's a little too.
I mean, you all say that to be insulting,
Daniel, you and I gotta stop
I'm
talking
the one
about
who
it.
played Alan Wake and
Let's fist bump.
and I followed all of those stories.
And I think in all those games, the story is one of the best parts about them. I mean, Quantum Break had the best time travel story I ever thought in a video game. And I think 100%. What they do with Control is like a larger extension with what they've done with Alan Wake and stuff. And I'm not very far into it, but it is so good.
I think it's just the style you don't like, Derek.
Well, and there are mini stories. That's the thing. Like you'll walk across like a memo, and it'll be like, "Hey, watch out for this like refrigerator," and you're like, "That sounds really stupid." But then you come across that refrigerator.
Yep.
And it is not fun. Like it is horrifying. Like and just the way that the memos are set up and redacted just so perfectly, it creates this like uneasy, amazing storytelling. If you're not reading the memos, you didn't play the game.
And that's
part
one
of the
thing.
story is going to be those cutscenes.
Yeah.
Boy, did it have some good cutscenes.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then when the doctor comes on, the live action doctor, like
he's great.
His name? I forget.
Man, I liked Control before I started talking to you guys. You guys actually make me hate this game. Like I now officially hate this game.
I know that I'm right if you're not.
That's true.
It's kind of like how you guys made me feel about Outer Wilds.
Now you're like, I love Outer Wilds.
Yeah, now I'm like, you know what? Gameplay got in the way of story.
Well, Giant Bomb liked it. So. Giant Bomb liked it. Well, I have to like it.
I've never played anything worse. I don't know what's going on with me right now. All right, can I suggest?
Man, I really like Control. Now I hate it.
Can I suggest that we remove Wolfenstein Youngblood?
Yes,
cool?
Absolutely.
It's a fun story, but it doesn't matter.
It is. For those of you who don't know the premise of the story, this isn't spoilers. The premise is that
two teenage girls cussing.
You play the essentially the twin daughters of BJ Blazkowicz, who has gone missing. That's kind of the premise of how the story sets up. And so then you set off with some gear you're not supposed to, and go try to fight a bunch of Nazis.
Have they said that it's actually canon? Because like, I've heard some things that happen in the game that I'm like, oh, that would have been way more interesting with BJ Blazkowicz and actually kind of like having them like act it out.
I think it is canon. I could be wrong. I think it's canon, but I also think that when they make Wolfenstein 3, they're going to tell some of the stories they refer to in Youngblood. Because Youngblood is supposed to be like 20 years later. The girls have grown up.
Well, right, yeah.
They're grown up.
And so there's a big gap of stuff that happens that they mention. So anyway, I think they'll go back.
I think there's going to be a pretty fun kill that I hope they let us do. So
I think so too.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm getting rid of that one. Telling Lies. I've never played it. I'm sure it's got a good story, but we haven't.
That was
Stop lying.
That was
Tim.
my edition, and I'm probably the only one that played that one. I think the story is, man, it takes some crazy twists and turns and stuff, but I think the discovery of the story is the coolest part of it. Just depends on your level of patience, I guess, for that type of game, because it's similar to Her Story, where you're playing out of sequence videos, and then based on what's said in that video, you have to do a search term to find matching videos, and then piece together the story yourself.
So it's gonna be tough knowing that you've played a couple of these that we haven't. So looking at Arise, Observation, and Telling Lies, if you had to pick one out of those three to make
Observation out of all those, out of all those.
So if we cut Arise and Telling Lies, we're okay, and leave Observation.
Yeah, Arise is like the visuals and the control, the gameplay of it is probably the standout more than the story is just reliving your life.
Okay.
You know, your first love, all that stuff, and I don't think it's all that groundbreaking, honestly, compared to other games that have done that before.
Guys, can we
Observation is just amazing.
Can we go ahead and cut Days Gone? Are we cool with that? That's best story.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that.
I actually do think it has overall.
I think it's a pretty cool
good story.
I think so too.
Well,
but
you love the main character.
Again, I think where they fell short is they did not do a good job of, for me, and I know I'm a jerk, they did a terrible job of making me care about the characters. Like, I wanted Boozer to die so bad. I was like, please kill this guy.
Is that who you impersonated last time? Was that Boozer?
Yeah, Boozer's amazing. And then I was about ready to spoil it, and I won't. So, but there's somebody else I was like, please die. You can die too.
All right, Disco Elysium.
Throw it away.
Unfortunately, I can't really defend it because I didn't play it that much. My understanding is the story is super involved and gets pretty crazy.
Again, it's tough for us to rank them if we haven't played enough of it, right?
Exactly.
So this is not a knock on that game. We just don't have the knowledge. Same thing with like AI, the Somnium Files. I heard it's a great story, but we haven't played it, so I can't really.
This is the first time I've heard of that, so I'm gonna have to look into that. Honestly.
Okay, Code Vein. I didn't play enough. I think the premise is really cool, but I don't know if the overall story is great. Anyone want to speak to that?
Yeah, how is the story in that game? Because that's actually
the premise is very cool. The premise is essentially that there's these vampires. Well, Derek, you might know it better than I do, but correct me if I'm wrong. The idea is that you essentially at the beginning get captured, I think, and you're in a pit, and then they give you this mask that helps you breathe without becoming essentially a vampire zombie combo. This kind of crazy person who just wants to kill people. And you're supposed to go out there and hunt these blood tears or blood orbs, whatever they were called. And you're supposed to do this for this unnamed group. And of course, the idea is that you split off and join what looks to be a bit of a resistance or rebellion that's kind of doing their own thing instead. So that's the premise of it is pretty cool. They set up a very unique kind of anime post-apocalyptic world. The premise is cool. I have no idea if the story narrative totally delivers.
I think it's easily top 10.
I'll leave it in there.
I will say this. Let me elaborate on why. Speaking to Kyle,
yeah, it might be the reason I buy it.
Yeah,
so.
Even though you don't respect my opinion.
Well, you know, I sometimes try and hurt you.
I know it does. It does. Right here. No, but I will say, I would say this. Kyle and I have known each other, online wise, probably 3 or 4 years. I think this is a Kyle game, and the reason I say that is, I think he'll like the combat. Because it is close to Dark Souls, but it's not hard. And I'm not saying you can't handle hard games. It's not infuriating.
I play Dark Souls. Yeah.
It's much easier than Sekiro. We talked about Sekiro.
That's the
like
one
I said,
that,
if you get stuck, you just call somebody in. But story-wise, I think this is the best story for those type of games. And the reason I say this is not only Tim set up the premise, but they do an amazing job of telling you a story. Like, you don't feel like you're playing a Dark Souls game or Bloodborne or even Sekiro story-wise. No, I feel like I'm playing like a JRPG or a AAA experience. There are a ton of cutscenes. Like while I was playing with Jesse, he's ahead of me, so we beat a boss. He's like, okay, call me when you're done because you got about 10 minutes of cutscenes. And I was like, well, because I'm playing with you, I'm going to go ahead and cut these off.
And also because I'm Derek, I'm going to skip these.
Yeah, but I gotta say this. This is why I'm talking about the game so much. Prior to that, I've been following the story. And the thing that's really good is not just the story, it's the character development. So your character is kind of a mystery, and so he goes through a bunch of memories.
Or she.
whatever you create. So you walk through all these memories, and that's how you learn about guys that you're working with, because you have AI partners. And
I think Derek just likes the girl in white.
I just said that last night to Jesse. I was playing the game with him, and I was like, "This game makes me horny," and he started laughing.
Jeez, that's honest.
Dude, there's a character that you get introduced to right at the beginning, and it is the classic old school anime girl who looks very scared and innocent and oblivious, and she's got ridiculous cleavage right out of the gate.
Well, that's
I'm
not
telling
anime,
you guys.
you know.
To the max.
It's, something that makes you
if you
horny.
go
I just have a
into it
hard
with
time
the-
believing it has a good story too. But okay.
Yeah, exactly. My finger was over the purchase button, and you said it made it horny, and I was
Dan,
like,
have you not watched anime in general? I mean, come on.
No, this is
I've
a
watched
really good game. If you can get it for $30 like
I
I
honestly
did,
think I'm gonna buy it. Like, if you're selling it to me as like kind of like Dark Souls with like an actual story where I'm not having to watch YouTube videos, I'm
and it's got that Dark Souls format where you find these certain save spots or shortcuts that you unlock. It's got all that same stuff, and if you die,
so
you have to go back to get the stuff you
make it
lost.
as easy as you want as well.
yeah, gameplay wise, it follows that. But as far as story and lore and all that, they go their own way. They created an amazing experience. I'm telling you, when we unveil our top 10 list, it's going to be very high up.
Also,
and
it's
this
got
is a
one of the
game
best
that
character creator tools in any game.
Oh god,
you can create crazy characters in this thing.
Derek, are you playing?
Walk away with a win. You totally sold it.
It's a really good
and
game.
Tim, too,
Are you playing it on Xbox?
On this one, so
I am playing it on Xbox.
It'll be
Okay.
PS4 for me.
Well, I'll probably pick it up then.
I don't know if it's
I
on
can go
sale right now, but if it is,
It
it's
is.
worth it.
It's
like $38 right now. Is it worth
on
$38?
PS4? It's on sale too. So.
All right, speaking of anime games, do we think that one of the best 10 stories of the year was in Fire Emblem Three Houses?
Yes, 100%. It was going to be my pick.
I wish I could answer that, but I have not.
What I've played so far, like 30 hours in, I still haven't gotten. I keep doing all the side stuff. I get so distracted in that game, but from what I've played so far, it's intriguing. But I haven't hit a moment where I go, "Whoa, this story is incredible!" Yet, I'm sure.
Just keep on going. I think the third act is really, really heavy in that game because it's all about setting up the characters and why they like each other. And like, I mean, I don't want to spoil that game, but like things happen and like it's very tragic and horrifying and.
Okay.
Trying to like get the muster up to like wanting to play it again to watch like characters die all over again. I'm like, yeah, no thanks. I'll play it some other time. Because I get so attached to the characters, and as Derek was bringing up earlier, how it sells to him, characters landing for him.
Yep.
This game is that.
Yeah.
Like it's all about characters. There is a story, but it's like it's war and it sucks, and we're probably gonna.
But it's more about the students and the relationships you build and the conversations.
It is, yeah. And there's some cool stuff going on with your character, like the teacher. Like there's an otherworldly thing going on with you.
That's pretty clear at the beginning. Something's happening.
Yeah. It's a cool game, and I there's major, huge payoffs, and I think it's my most played and favorite Switch game ever.
Whoa!
So
all right,
yeah,
it's a really,
seriously.
really great game. Can we go ahead and get rid of Oninaki now? Are we good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Solid, decent story though.
I think so too, as well. I'm not all the way through it, but I've been really engaged.
Yeah.
Okay. And I do want to be fair to Derek with stuff like Greedfall and MK11, so we'll give him a minute. He stepped away for a second. Kyle, Judgment, based on everything else we've got here, does it need to stay on this list?
I don't know. If I don't have much backup here, I think Jeff played a little bit of it.
Yeah, I loved what I played. Yeah,
it's really good. I mean, and like this is the most approachable Yakuza game you could ever play. It's in English, so like you can actually like look at your phone while like the cutscenes are going on
and listen to it
and listen to it exactly. You know, instead of being attached, because like the cutscenes are long in Yakuza. Like they can go on Metal Gear Solid lengths of an hour and a half,
Jesus.
and you're like, oh yeah, I'm playing again, because it's a soap opera.
Yeah.
It's a soap opera Yakuza game, and Judgment's no different. It's more of a noir detective story, but it's all wrapped up in the Yakuza world and. You have people who come in from the Yakuza games in here, and you know it's really cool. It's a really good game, but if no one else has played it, I don't want to like.
Well, I'm not opposed to doing
you know?
an 11 or 12. We have 10 already that have been saved, and the ones that right now are on the outs are Call of Duty, Devil May Cry 5, Greedfall, Judgment, and Mortal Kombat 11. So if we're gonna extend the list, I got to figure out how many more are we adding and which ones. So
I would think, you know, with the case that Kyle's made against. Or for Judgment, I'd hang that, but I mean, I don't think the other ones, you know, need to stick around.
I think Call of Duty and Judgment should stay. I didn't beat Judgment, but I did play the first 4 or 5 hours, and it had a very intriguing story. I know you could say, well, then why didn't you stick with it? because I don't
'Cause you're
stick with
Derek.
anything.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
but
well,
I would
let's
say,
talk more about Judgment in a second. Derek, what do you want to say about
Okay.
Mortal Kombat 11 before we delete it?
Yeah, delete it. But I think this is I'm a big fan of what Mortal Kombat's done with fighting games as far as stories. I think this is the best one.
I mean, it is a really fun story.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think it's my favorite. I think I like the 10 better because it was just a kind of a retelling of stuff that we knew. This one got really weird with like kids and shit like that.
Well, it was
stuff like
it was
that.
interesting because of the past versions of themselves coming to present time. Like, dude, the scenes between both of the Johnny Cages, like, come on.
That was fun. It was cool. Again, a lot of fan service, and I had a lot of fun with this story.
Yeah.
I really
Like,
did.
like
It's just
I'll replay the story.
Like older
it's
Johnny
I probably
Cage
will
rolling
too.
his eyes and being like just annoyed by younger himself.
with my him.
Yeah, like it's like that's
Yeah,
that's just
it's
so
fun.
meta.
That's pretty sweet.
It
Yeah.
is very cool. It is very cool.
Yeah, I will say I'm glad Daniel brought that up. It shows you because you really do, like you really become a 180 of who you were. So
Yeah.
like whoever you were when you were younger, you really become a 180. And
Yeah.
like they showed that with Johnny Cage, and they did it in a humorous way of like here he was as this young arrogant prick,
Yep.
and then he's now older watching this young version hit on his daughter and or whatever the situation was, and it was
Sonya.
it was pretty funny.
All right, so we've got one last spot to make it a top 12 here like we did last time. That's fine. But two really big, bombastic, crazy set-piece stories in Devil May Cry 5 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare. My personal pick between those two, I played both, beat both of the campaigns. I think Devil May Cry has more depth to the gameplay and stuff like that and some interesting twists. But I overall was more moved by and intrigued by the Call of Duty story. But they're both really good. But I'd pick Call of Duty, their campaign, over Devil May Cry.
I would too.
I would too.
And that being said, I would actually pick Devil May Cry 5 over Call of Duty for my like overall game of the year.
You just think the
so
story
I
is
would say
really
my
good.
experience
Yeah.
with Devil May Cry is more fun, but story-wise, just strictly story and going back to, character impact and things like that, Call of Duty beats Devil May Cry.
Okay. Any opposition to Devil May Cry 5 going away for best story, top 12? I mean, it's number 13.
Not
It's
gonna
not
fight
too bad.
it.
Not bad. Yeah.
So there you go. There's our top 12. We've got a play.
Next year, we're just going to make like a top 20 and just basically keep everything.
Yeah. Everyone just say what
Yeah,
you
right.
like.
All right. that
we're
was great.
becoming
Thanks,
political
guys.
I like
correct.
that.
Yay!
So we've got
So brave.
these 12
So
games
brave.
in our
So
list.
stunning.
A Plague Tale, Call of Duty, Code Vein, Control, Death Stranding, Fire Emblem, Gears 5, Judgment, Kingdom Hearts 3, Observation, Star Wars, and The Outer Worlds.
Did you want to add Crackdown 3 to this at all?
I do, yes. Thank you.
Are
Thank
we
you.
on
Let me-
that? Yeah.
And
Rocket
League.
Trash
Don't
Down.
forget Rocket League.
Trash Down 3.
Rocket League.
Terry Crews.
Terry Crews.
Yeah, his one scene in that game was good and entertaining, but it can't.
I was
It
gonna
can't
say, can we
carry a
just put
whole
Terry Crews?
That's
crap
hilarious.
game.
I didn't.
Yeah. Can we just put Terry Crews on
I'm okay with that. I like that.
Put
Just
Terry
not
Crews
Crackdown
muscles on
3.
the list, yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, number 14. Right
All
there.
right,
Number
so
14.
I'm going to suggest, and I haven't finished this game, but I feel like based on the cases that have been made for the others as well as my personal experience with some, I don't think the Outer Worlds story was top of the list worthy. But did I miss some stuff? Do I need to go back and finish that game because the story is just so incredible?
Yeah, I would say it's probably number like top 3 easily.
I have moved.
Yep.
I haven't beat
Yeah.
the game, but I'm
Absolutely.
actually moving it up in my personal top 10 because of again story and character.
All right,
I'm
gonna-
having more fun with
Well,
the gameplay too.
Totally
but
that's totally fair. I haven't
Yeah.
gotten far enough to really judge it, so I'll move it to that.
It's outstanding.
Yeah.
I think the world building of the game is outstanding, and I think the characters are outstanding, and your choices matter, and the ending you get reflects every single one of
Yep.
your
Totally
choices.
fair.
And I've
And-
never
yeah.
felt that
Yeah,
way in a
that
game before.
choice that interacts with the story, I think, does make it so memorable. So to me, it's
So
definitely
that's why I
top
want to
3.
beat this game.
I
Like
couldn't. I was completely blown away by how good this game was.
All right.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's fair.
This
Same
one
here.
and Plague's Tale.
All right,
I
well then
really
let
wanna
me
finish
go
both.
back to Call of Duty. Then it barely made the list. Is that fair? Safe to say it's probably towards the bottom, even though it was really good.
I would
Yeah.
say it just wasn't anything real new.
kinda safe
It was
to
just
say,
well
sure.
done.
I think they just did a good
I will
job
say,
with
remember,
the character.
I've only played the first couple missions, and I'm like, it hooked me immediately.
It's
I
very,
was like,
very
okay,
good, but I don't
yeah.
know.
It,
based
I
on
mean,
what
it
we're
carried
seeing.
me the whole way
It's like a
through.
Michael Bay movie,
Yeah.
you know? Or,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
A
again, this
really
is the top
good
list.
Michael Bay.
Yeah, these
So-
are all good.
Yeah,
it's the same
like,
with
that's
visuals.
A really
it's
that's a really loaded statement I just said. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
it's the same thing with visuals. Like anything
I
that
felt
made this
offended
list
for
is
Call of
really anything that makes this list is really good. So none of us are saying that
Yeah.
these stories are bad. It's just all right. Now that we're
I
in the
said
top
Control
12,
was bad. Thanks.
Control's not bad. You shut up.
Control might be top 3.
Derek, move that cursor off Control. Do not delete it. Derek, don't you do
I'm gonna
it.
put my cursor on it just so you
do
know
it.
to move it up.
Hang on, let me.
It's simple, Derek. Your brain can't fathom how amazing it is.
What was that voice?
You
What was
just
that?
you didn't get it, Derek. That's all. You just didn't get it.
All right,
You
so
didn't get
I'd
it.
like to
You
put a
didn't
Plague
get
Tale Innocence in the top 3. We can decide exactly where. Any opposition
Oh.
to that?
I mean,
I
It's
don't.
another
I
one I
haven't
really wanna
beat
play.
it, but what I've played of it and what I've heard from it, I just said the 2 games I want to finish that I haven't finished already would be The Outer Worlds and The Plague Tale. And the reason is story.
Story, yeah.
well,
And
I
that's
know what I'm
it's
getting with
wonderful.
Code
I hear the
Vein. I
story's
think it's a
amazing,
great
too.
game story-wise, but I don't feel like I have to beat this game. These 2, I want to see how it ends. I want to see how
Dan
it
Phillips,
plays
you
out.
played Plague Tale, right?
Yeah, I'm actually only probably about halfway through it right now, but
Okay, cool.
I mean, it's definitely pulling me right along. I mean, to me, it definitely is probably one of the better stories in any game I've
What
played
about
this
you,
year.
Freitas? Have you played it? I forget if you played.
I'm
this
in the
one.
last 2 hours of it.
Okay, so you're okay
Um,
with us putting in top 3 for right now?
I don't know. I don't know
towards the
top 3. I would say definitely top
Yeah,
5.
I would say towards the top, yeah.
Let's put it
but
towards
not
the
top
top.
3.
Okay, fair enough. What
How
about-
high are you on it, Tim? Like, is it like your number one?
It's my favorite story in a video game.
Not
this
over
year.
Outer Worlds.
Yeah,
Not-
it's my number 1 this year.
Okay.
So and it's not even close, to be honest with you. The other one that I really liked, but I think it's because I'm a Star Wars fanboy and kind of like all
Yeah.
things Star Wars. Even if it sucks, I still love Star
That's
Wars.
it. It never sucks. Tim. Not wrong.
And
Nope.
so to me, my
It's
second
supposed to be
Hurt your
favorite,
fun.
feelings. You know it to be true.
It's supposed to be fun.
my second favorite was the Star Wars game story.
Yes, I loved it.
I'm there to fight with that on you.
I am-
so
I'm
you just,
all
you bring
on
it up,
board.
man. I'll back you up.
Yeah.
I prefer Gears 5
I love the
over-
Gears story. I was gonna say that one
Yes.
next, actually.
Star Wars.
Yep.
Get out of here.
No, it was great.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean,
just
it's
not gonna
good,
fi-
but,
I'm
like-
not gonna fight for that.
No,
one.
this
up.
is yeah,
I'm glad you
definitely.
guys liked it.
It's on the next level of any of the games that have come before it. It is.
Eric,
the
did you
best
hear that?
story.
He just said, "I'm glad you guys liked it." Do you hear that? You need to take
Who
that
said that?
lesson and
Yeah.
learn it.
Hey,
Who said
let me
that?
tell you guys, I am happy
Kyle.
you enjoyed it.
That's what people say about the Rise of the Skywalker. You're like, hey, listen, I'm glad. I'm just. Other people can enjoy it if they want. They just need to first acknowledge that it's garbage, and then they can enjoy it.
Yeah.
My
You should
opinion
just
is
feel
fact.
bad for,
Yeah.
for liking it. You know,
Yeah.
that's all.
Anyway,
I don't think there's anything bad about Star Wars. I think I like everything Star Wars. And so far my experience with Jedi The Fallen Order has been good, but it did not hook me to want to finish it.
so there
I will say
is.
that.
I think the
I
story
will,
is good,
but I don't care.
and then there's a. I'm gonna do my best not to spoil stuff. I know we've spoiled a couple little things here and there, but I think we've avoided the major things for the most part. There is a moment where you fight a pretty major boss. It's not the end boss on Dathomir. There's a pretty major boss fight. From that moment on, I felt like the story just
Takes off.
Electric.
turn the jets on all the way to the end and has an amazing
It's-
finish. There's a moment where you have to go to an ice planet to do something very specific to kind of
Yeah.
your next step in your
Yep.
journey that is so cool.
Yeah.
It has a very epic feel to it when it finally happens, and you're just like, I was nerding out as a Star Wars
Yeah.
geek. I was
Pretty
like,
powerful
this is just
stuff, yeah.
So,
so
if
fun.
you watch Clone Wars and you watch Rebels, this game is pornography for you. So
All right.
like, as I'm an avid
All right.
like Rebels, I'm an avid Rebels and like Clone Wars fan, like those cartoons or
Yeah.
whatever. I just absolutely love those like cartoons,
Yeah.
and like this is just like, hey, we're gonna make all the references to that stuff, and like you're gonna love it. And I'm like, yeah, this game's for me.
Well,
You literally made it for
hold
me.
on.
You made it just for me.
So can I ask? Because I'm not one of those people that grew up with Star Wars in my life where I have that fandom. I like Star Wars and I think it is enjoyable, but I just don't have that connection. So like, is it
I
that you
think
guys
that,
like it because of that connection, or is it
Good question.
legitimately
Well,
good?
Good
I
question.
think I may be the only person who have watched all of those cartoons on this.
I have
Yeah.
not watched
Unless
Rebels.
Tim-
I watched
yeah,
Clone,
I
I
don't
watched
think-
Clone Wars, but not Rebels yet.
So yeah, I don't. I think it is appealing on a mass level. I
Yeah.
mean, like
I think he's
you
just
can enjoy
saying
it
he
even just being
connected with it
But
more
like if
because
you
of
are
that.
a deeper Star Wars fan, there's so much extra there
Yes.
for you.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
and the game sold really well. It's reviewing really well. So I
Yeah.
think it's very apparent that it's very appealing to even non-Star Wars.
See,
fans or
I'm
just
really
passive
happy
Star
about
Wars
that
fans.
because I absolutely love Respawn. They're one of my favorite.
Me too.
devs
This
right
couldn't
now.
be a bigger win for them.
Yeah,
Like,
so
this is
I want to
huge
see
for
them keep growing, and I want more Star Wars single player experiences.
So do I.
The only
Absolutely.
thing
Me
that
too.
I didn't like
Yes,
about the
exactly
games
like
was the level design.
I want Respawn to alternate between making Titanfall and Star Wars. That's what I want them to do.
Well,
Yeah,
they
that's
need
it.
to
Don't
expand
make
the
anything
team.
else forever.
Well, they
Have
already
someone
are.
else keep on
Okay.
doing Apex, because I hear that's doing good, but like
Apex
just
is
keep on doing
amazing.
those two things.
That's all I want.
Just
All right,
do
so we
do
made
it
a
like
case.
they do a Call of Duty and just have like 3 teams and rotate.
There we go.
So we
Yeah,
made
I'm in
a
on it.
case to get Code Vein on this list, but I think we might struggle since none of us have really gotten so far into the story that we really know if there's a payoff and what twists are there. Does this game really? Can we make an argument for it to go any higher than the bottom 2 or 3 of this list?
I can make an argument, but I'm the only one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's really, really.
It speaks a lot that Derek, who's not that into anime
Yeah.
stuff,
Or
is
that
speaking so
much
highly,
in the
so-
story
I mean,
sometimes.
yeah, absolutely. That's,
Well,
It's
gotten
really,
so
really
interesting
good,
about this.
guys.
I have the
It's
same.
a weighted story. There's a lot of.
I'm worried that he just needs a win and he's just faking it through this game.
yeah.
I have-
So like that's what I'm really worried about.
Well, I have the same questions for you other 3. So for Jeff and for Kyle and for Daniel, for these 3 in the middle, Judgment, Kingdom Hearts 3, and Observation. I want us to think through. Okay, where do we think those belong on this list? Trying to be. Think about it as again, it's a shared list. All the cases that have been made for other games.
And I think Judgment falls into that other thing where I'm probably going to be the only person being able to defend that game. So wherever Code Vein ends up, I think I think Judgment can't end up pretty much higher.
So right around where Code Vein is for right now.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think wherever
Yeah,
we
exactly.
settle with Code Vein and Judgment, they need to be side
right
by
next to
side.
each other. Yeah.
What about what about Kingdom Hearts 3?
I think the question to ask is, do you guys like Kingdom Hearts 3's story more than Control? Because a lot of the people that are praising Control are praising Kingdom Hearts 3 as well.
No, Control was
So-
way
That's
better.
not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, Control
That's
is
not true at all.
infinitely better.
For me, I'm not a super.
The thing
I
that
exist, and Kingdom Hearts 3's
Yeah,
story
well,
didn't really do much.
Philip,
for
I'm
me.
not
It's
a
amazing.
big Kingdom Hearts fanboy or anything, but the story is just nonsense and bonkers, and it's
It's fun. Yeah, I mean, it
it's
can be
fun.
too,
I
but
just
it's nonsense for sure.
it's not
tough
well
because-
told.
But it's
It
about
is,
being
it is, but
friends.
it's just
and the
not
power
well
of
done,
friendship.
not-
It's so corny. It's super
No.
corny. But
it's tough because again, you have so many games prior to that, right? So you kind of require all of that to even appreciate what happens in
Yep,
three.
and I just
really,
think
right?
that
you
it's still so
absolutely
messy.
do. A YouTube video will just get you surface
Sure.
level knowledge.
Well, like I said
of
before,
stuff.
I played all of them, literally all of them, right before it came out, and I don't remember most of the
Yeah,
stuff.
and
Like,
to me,
just
I
don't.
mean, you know,
that. I played all of them as they came out and beat them all as they came
Yeah.
out, so I had time to process them. I still don't understand the story.
Well, like I
so,
did at the time. It
yeah.
actually legitimately was making somewhat sense up until Dream Drop Distance. Then it just
Dream
like
Drop
went out the
Distance
window.
throws a wrench in everything.
Yeah,
So
so.
that's exactly what it
All right,
does.
so Jeff, talk to me about Observation then.
So I'm already expecting it near the closer to the bottom of the list just because of me being the sole person that's played it. American Truck Simulator.
I just saw American Truck Simulator get dropped in. Not only did it get
Tell us why
dropped
it's
in,
good.
but it's got bright green text on the black background.
keep on trucking.
Tell us why it's good.
It's 75% off.
Hey Derek,
on Steam, guys.
since we already have to put an explicit warning on this episode anyway, who cares? What is it that you pretty much spend your life doing?
Trucking and
Wait, hold on. We put an explicit warning on this,
We had to because I don't have time to edit all you douchebags.
so I can
I only
fucking
cuss
say
once
whatever I
that
want.
big. Can you go away, boy?
Boy,
Tim, you didn't tell me how to swear.
All right. So let's not overdo it, okay? You crazy people. Okay.
I'm from Massachusetts. I mean, this is what I do.
I would not have guessed that's where you're from.
All right, guys. One that we
Well,
haven't
yeah.
really talked about a ton here is Death
no,
Stranding.
I'm
Top three. Either
Yeah.
to be honest, one or two for me.
Top 3 stories of the
Yep.
year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep.
Daniel, would you even put this one above Kingdom Hearts 3?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whoa.
Literally, honestly, because I finished it finally the other day, and literally the last chapter like made me be like, this. Again, Derek makes fun of me because I have feelings and emotions, but the very
You're a girl.
the
Got
very
it.
the very last chapter, like the song kicks in. There's a specific theme that goes along for what you're doing in that last mission, and like I legitimately had tears in my eyes. I legitimately did. Not even gonna care to, I did.
Is there someone in a towel back there? almost naked.
As I'm talking about having tears in my eyes.
Tim can see Ian naked.
I'm not even naked, so shut up!
Settle down, Dad.
This is the weirdest show ever. This is
That is. Oh, there's a towel. No.
Oh God.
That is going to be the opening of the show from now on. I'm not even naked.
Please.
Shut up.
So I'm sitting there saying I had tears in my eyes, and then I'm not even naked.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Derek, if you need to, you can always turn your camera off so we don't get, taken down forever from YouTube.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
true. Get fined.
It's okay. If it's blurred, it's mine.
Okay, let's talk Death Stranding versus Control. Where do we put Control compared to Death Stranding?
Death Stranding's above it. Sorry.
Jeff, what about for you?
Yeah. It's Death Stranding's higher than
Kyle?
Control for me.
Yeah, for me as well. Absolutely.
Dan, have you
I
played
haven't
both
played
of
Death
those?
Stranding, so I'd
Same.
default to Control.
All right. So Control's going to stay down a couple notches, but we'll leave Death Stranding for right now in that top group. Can someone get American Truck Simulator out of here? All right.
Trucking.
Get it out of here. All right. So Death Stranding versus Gears 5, Jeff and Kyle.
Death Stranding needs to be higher than
Death
Gears 5.
Stranding.
Sorry.
Gears 5, Gears 5, Gears 5.
Death Stranding.
All
Gears
right.
5 is good, but like Death Stranding is.
It's literally.
There's nothing like
Death
Stranding.
I don't want to get into it.
There's
it's
just
Death
not.
Stranding.
Okay. But now we're getting to a weird spot because I haven't played The Outer Worlds enough to really know how good the story is. What about Outer Worlds Death Stranding?
I mean, I played 30 hours of Outer Worlds, but like again, it literally just that last chapter for me automatically puts it like at number 1.
Man, you're really killing me right now because that's where I'm at. I'm at the home stretch of Death Stranding right now, and I don't know the ending, but I'm speaking from like the majority of the game, and I know it's gonna nail it.
I don't know how emotional you are, Kyle, but have some tissues ready for that.
I cry at everything. I'm crying right now.
I'm crying right now. I'm crying right now.
I've been crying since we started.
I wake up and I'm like,
it's so beautiful.
God damn it.
I'm still alive.
That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
All right,
This is unbelievable.
So listen, I hear you on the case you're making for Death Stranding. It's hard for me not to be cynical about it because
Sure.
how
'Cause you haven't
boring
played it.
the
Yeah, you didn't
gameplay looks and sounds.
Sure.
And there's no way I could see myself ever truly slogging through that game to get to this final chapter that you're.
But we're talking about story, not gameplay.
We are. So I don't know that I'll ever experience it. For those of you who have played Star Wars Jedi versus Death Stranding, do you put it above that Star Wars game as well, story-wise?
I'm gonna pick Star Wars.
So
Star Wars.
But I've only played half of Star Wars, and I've played like 5 hours of Death Stranding, so I'm not really into the story enough with Death Stranding.
Okay.
But it didn't appeal to me enough to keep me going. That I will say. Like, the gameplay wasn't fun enough, and the story wasn't like, oh my gosh, I need to know how this plays out.
Jeff, Kyle, and Dan, how far up is Star Wars on your list? No, I'm assuming Death Stranding's above it, but how far up your list is it?
High. Star Wars is high on my list. Again, it's for me. I mean, you're talking to like I geek out like during, and you're talking about getting emotional. I cry during Star Wars trailers, like hard. Like that. Like Star Wars is very important to me. So like.
So wait,
like,
when Han said "We're home" to Chewie, did you
I
cry?
did.
Totally
no,
did.
but I cried when he said it's true, all of it.
It's true,
Oh my God,
all of it.
It is true.
It is true.
It's true. I was there. I saw it.
Jeff, where do you have the
Yeah,
Star
it was-
Wars
it was kind
story?
of that.
Pretty high? Pretty low?
Because Observation is probably like my favorite story overall, which is surprising me as I say it aloud. But I know I'm not going to be able to get that super high, and I because it's a shared list. But Star Wars Jedi would probably be underneath that, and then Death Stranding.
So you'd have Star Wars above Death Stranding. Okay.
Yeah.
So that
I think
that
so,
tells me
yeah.
that Death Stranding is probably landing at around 4, unless we're moving Outer Worlds. But it sounds like Star Wars is above Death Stranding.
Is Outer Worlds, though, above Plague Tale, or are we keeping a Plague's Tale?
I really wish I could speak to a Plague's Tale, but it sounds like since it's so narrative focused and it moved him so much, and I'm probably gonna.
It's
love
the
it,
best video game story I've played since The Witcher. I think it's that good.
Don't
Okay,
say
tell
stuff
me
like
why,
that
though,
out
Tim.
loud.
Because I'm only,
it's
4
not on sale
chapters
anymore.
in.
Don't say stuff.
It is
like
on
that.
sale. Oh, I don't know about PS4 still. It was.
You
It
have
should-
another
I have an
console.
Xbox. I have an Xbox. I can
No, it should be 25.
Yeah, I think PlayStation and
PC,
Xbox have it on
PS4,
sale
and
right
Xbox.
now.
So
It's half off.
So A Plague's Tale is set back in like the 14th century in France, and the idea is that you've got the
During
Black
the plague,
Plague going through Europe, essentially. But they, of course, take a more supernatural approach to it, and it opens up, you're this teenage daughter, and you and your dad are going hunting with your dog, and some crazy stuff happens, and you go back to your, essentially, castle, because your dad is a lord in France.
Yeah.
You go back to your castle, and then you kind of get this really scary group comes in, and they kind of start taking down your family and all your servants and everyone who works in your castle, and you are charged with protecting your little brother, who you've barely seen because he's been kept away from you because there's something about him that they want to keep away from the rest of the family, although you don't know what. It's very mysterious, and the idea is that you're this teenage girl who barely knows this little kid, who, by the way, from our group, I think it was Angela was telling me that it's actually legitimately like a teenage girl and a little kid doing the voice acting for all that stuff. Yeah. And it's very believable. I think the dialogue is great as you're walking, and it's very stealth based. So gameplay wise, I don't think it could make the case for the best gameplay of the year, but I think it works so well with the story. You're hiding, you're scared, you're trying to protect this little kid. Most of the game, at least the first half of the game, you're holding his hand as you go through like these high weeds to hide from soldiers and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you've got this whole thing with these giant swarms of rats that are everywhere, and they are human eating. Like, they will just swarm and destroy you down to your skeleton in a matter of seconds. A very piranha style approach to these rats. And their eyes are glowing in the dark, and so you have to use light and fire in a very special way. But there's some things that happen later in the story that kind of change what you thought the rats were. It's not just about the plague. There's more to it. There's been some hands pulling the strings the whole time, and
some religious connections.
Definitely some religious connection to it, and potentially some stuff in your family's history connected. That's all I'll say. It's really, really good, and I think they tell a story that is, like, to me, it's on par with some HBO or Netflix type series that they might put out. That's like, oh, this is based on some book series out of Scandinavia somewhere. Like, cool, I'll try it out. And it's really dark, and it's really, really great. And
you sold the hell out of that, Tim. Wow.
The only
it's fantastic. Yeah.
I appreciate
the only thing for me, like with story, and I know you said that, like, the performances, I think you said, are fantastic. I think it's a little wonky, just a little bit, but I'm comparing it to Death Stranding, which literally has like straight up actors, like Hollywood actors in it. So it's a little tough.
And Kojima directed that like a movie.
Well, it's also not mocapped in the same way, so it does take you out of it a bit when you see their mouths not totally matching.
You can tell
the animations
that's
aren't.
Okay. I can. That's okay.
It's not even that. I think just some of the deliveries are a little. I don't know.
From side characters that can be true. From the main girl and her little brother, and then there's a few other key characters you meet along the way. Those are all, I think, performed really, really well. Some of the soldiers and some of the other side characters, even if they're important, they're not in it a lot. Some of those aren't acted amazingly well. But that being said, the story itself, really, really top notch. Like, I kind of want to replay it now that I'm talking about it. It's so good.
It's very dark. It's super dark. Like, some of the imagery in that, I was like, oh, I don't know, man. This is a lot.
Yeah, and I'll give you one example, because they're not afraid to go to really dark places with this. There's a place where there's opportunities where there's moments where you don't have an opportunity to get away from these rats. They're everywhere, and the only thing you can do is snuff out the torch of a soldier who's just on patrol. That way the rats go after him, and you can sneak past. There's moments like that all throughout this game, or where you need to kill an animal to get the rats to go after that animal.
Yeah,
like, there's all kinds of moments that are going to make you go, "This isn't nice."
It's a good survival.
I don't
game.
feel good. Yeah,
there's no choice here. It's just telling me what to do.
That's what makes it such a good story. Is there's a lot of gray, like what's good, what's bad, what's in between, and then there's some things that happen with the brother and sister that, you know, what would you do in her shoes? Would you tell him this thing or not? So there's lots of that going on too. It's fantastic.
I think it sounds like, and again, I look forward to finishing it. I think it sounds like our number one. I don't think anything's better.
It is.
It's gonna be hard to fight that. I mean, again, because I can't speak from experience, but y'all are selling.
I mean, I almost have finished it, but it's not mine. But it is
and by
very
the way,
good.
For a game,
I think you and I want to take Death Stranding to the top.
Yeah.
But we're just not gonna let that
for a
happen,
game
so.
that is not really combat heavy, it does have two, especially the final boss. But there's two boss battles that are surprisingly fun, and they make you use the gear you've been given. So they also add in. And it's all kind of the story related too. So they use the boss battles in some really creative ways too. So I'll just throw that in there too. It's
Shout out to a unique weapon.
Yeah,
because she has a sling that they're rocks.
Oh, cool.
Mixed with alchemy, so there's some alchemy stuff too.
And then as you go through, these characters be like, "Hey, I learned this combination of items can make this type of slingshot ammo," and so you learn new types of ammo as you go. At first, it's all about how can I light things on fire, but then it kind of changes later, where you don't necessarily want everything to be on fire. So
a lot of alchemy twists and incorporations.
It's very, very fun, very cool, and boy, what a story! So I think it's number one. I don't know what happens in Outer Worlds to make that story so good that it would be above what you just made the case for.
Well, you choose it, Tim.
For Death,
you know. And I mean that. Like your story is going to be so much different than mine. I remember like choosing things and like entire people's missions being like cut out for me. So like I don't know. I'm excited to see you play more of that game to hear more about it.
So is that what makes it such a good RPG, or does that mean the game itself has a really strong story?
It's very character.
I think the writing is really good because I care. Like when I make a decision and something happens, like it really affects. I'm like, whoa, like okay. That probably wasn't the right decision. You know?
And like we always refer,
really
like most people refer to Pavardi, but like she's like pretty much the main go-to of like why this game character-wise is like phenomenal, like 10 out of 10.
Well, you have a preacher who's like really conflicted, and like I mean, you even take him on a mission where he like does drugs and like has self-reflection and like whether or not what you do in the game changes the outcome of that like spirit quest, you know, like. So it's just like you're constantly affecting like your crew members and like it's really well written.
It is very well written.
I can't believe this is the best Fallout style game ever.
So
like,
good
period.
dialogue,
like,
good role playing elements where you control like the outcome of stuff.
Yeah.
And you're saying
the world building is really good. Like
good. The actual narrative, though, there's got to be a through line narrative.
There is, and it's good.
Okay,
but like the thing about it is that there's a lot of narratives going on alongside of like the quote unquote main narrative of saving
Fallout games. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, the narrative, like high level,
save a colony or destroy the colony. Are you bad or are you good? You know?
The high level, it's simplistic, like most narratives. What Kyle's trying to drive the point
is existing in that world.
Yes,
and
it's the stories you tell yourself.
So then, is Outer Worlds got a better story with all those pieces and how complex it is?
I think it is because as somebody who's killing everybody, I'm still getting a good story because I'm seeing the impact of some of my foolish choices of who I killed, and also like. I gotta tell you, it's like Game of Thrones crap. Like you talk to one character and they'll put you against two other characters, and then your mission is to go and deal with those two other characters, and then you meet up with one of them and you find out the guy you just talked to is a piece of crap. So now you're mentally turning on that person, and then you go talk to the other person. You should have killed that person, and then you're just in this web.
You realize
like,
everybody's crappy, but
and you got to choose a side, and I love that. Nobody's flawless, but how are you going to make this decision?
You have to draw a line in the sand, and there's a
and it's great.
Yeah.
And by the way, I know you guys are going to make fun of me, but that's what I liked about Greedfall. I do think Outer Worlds is just a way better version. I'm going to say that. But that's what you're getting with those two games. That's why I'm so big on them. Is you're in this game. They have these overall arcing, simplistic stories. They're not that simplistic, but you get what I'm saying. But it's the groups of people. It's all the characters that you interact with. That's where it gets complex. That's where it gets crazy, and that's where you get all the twists. And that's to me where you get the story.
So it sounds like our top four in no order yet. Plague Tale, Outer Worlds, Star Wars, and Death Stranding. Kyle, how would you order those yourself, personally?
I would have Control in there, but out of those four,
I'd have Gears 5.
It would be Death Stranding, Outer Worlds, Star Wars Jedi, and a Plague Tale, just because I haven't played it, but I'm telling you, you've really sold it on
me. You would have
if it's number
one. No, that's no problem. You haven't played it. That totally makes sense. But you'd have Death Stranding top, you said? Okay.
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Jeff, what would you had Star Wars above that, right? Above Death Stranding.
Yeah. So my ranking would be of these four. It would be of these four. It'd be Jedi, Death Stranding, Outer Worlds, Plague Tale.
Okay. And Derek, you haven't played enough Death Stranding to really say, but what about between what you've got of Star Wars and Outer Worlds so far, and Plague Tale, I guess, really?
Oh, I'm gonna go with Outer World, Plague Tale, Star Wars, and then Death Stranding.
And Dan Phillips,
I'd probably stick with Star Wars at number one, and then Outer Worlds, and then I'd go with Plague Tale.
So, what's interesting here is, and Daniel, what about you, Freitas?
Death Stranding, and then Outer Worlds, Plague's Tale, Star Wars.
I feel like
Outer Worlds was
I feel like Outer Worlds got the most top 2s there.
Yeah.
So that might be landing at our top spot. I'm the only one who's got a Plague Tale at the top. I'm the only one who's finished it, but that's the part of the game, right? I mean, Observation is Jeff's favorite, but he's the only one who's played it and finished it. So that's just the way it goes.
I'm pretty close to finishing it.
It sounded like Death Stranding got more number 1s, but is left off of a couple people's lists. So I feel like that one might land at number.
They got 3 number 1s and then got like 3 number 4s or whatever.
And then Star Wars and Plague Tale are kind of tied at 3, but it sounded like there's more that's played Star Wars, so that would go at number 3. That's what I'm hearing. I mean, this is just me kind of going. I didn't keep track. We're not doing a point system, but that's just what it sounded like to me based on the 1, 2, 3, and 4 that I heard. Yeah. It sounded like Outer Worlds comes out on top, barely above Death Stranding, because there's 3 people who aren't going to cast a vote for it because they haven't played it enough. And then I heard Star Wars and a lot of number 2 and number 3 spots, and then Plague Tale again because.
I think that's fair.
I
do think when I beat a Plague's Tale, and I'm probably going to end up going, it's my number 1 or it's my number 2.
Yeah, that's probably true. We'll be apologizing.
Not apologizing for anything.
Trust me, that'll happen for Observation too.
Okay, that's fair.
That's totally fair. And by the way, the difference is like I don't always want to create my own story. Sometimes I love that. Sometimes I want you to tell me a really
I love linear stories.
So
no, absolutely.
A Plague Tale is a completely linear story. There is no choices to make. You just go. I mean, if you don't make the choice, you're going to time out or die or whatever and have to restart the checkpoint. So like there is a story they are telling and they're letting you participate in it. Outer Worlds is we've created this big sandbox of narrative. You pick what pieces go into your story. So they're very, very different. I totally get that.
They're 2 completely different.
Star Wars is more in the Plague Tale line, where we're going to tell you a story and you get to participate along the way and decide how you want to fight. But for the most part,
Death Stranding as well.
Yeah, so there you go. So for me personally, it'd be a Plague Tale, but not too far behind would be Star Wars. And I haven't played Death Stranding, and I haven't played enough Outer Worlds to really rank those 2. So I really just have a 1, 2 out of those 4. But right now we're looking at our top 4 of the Outer Worlds at number 1, Death Stranding at number 2, Star Wars at number 3, A Plague Tale at number 4, and then we get to the rest of our group that are still somewhat alphabetical because we didn't really rank them yet. We still have.
I think Gears 5 and Control are probably the 2 popular out of all of us.
Well, Gears 5 wasn't that top group; it kind of got bumped down, so I think 5 is a good spot for it. And I know Derek does not like Control, but the rest of us that have played it and finished it, I think.
Very much.
So
yeah, I want somebody to explain the story to me. Go on.
You just wouldn't get it.
It's the crazy janitor guy. He did it.
No. Do you let's have a chat like off podcast apparently.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it.
It's literally all right there in the game.
Don't spoil it. But it to me it comes across as almost like a crazy Black Mirror episode or something like it's just nuts. And I love that kind of stuff. So
I see. In
again,
Daniel
if you didn't read the memos or find all the memos and do all that, then you didn't.
Like I liked Alan Wake. Like I enjoyed my time with Alan Wake more than I did with Control. Even though I actually think Control's the game that is more fun to play as far as gameplay. But I just found even Alan Wake as I loved the narrative. I loved it, and then at the end, the payoff, and that's how I felt about Control. I was just like, it's kind of stupid. But that tells you that that's not my style. I'm not into that.
Well, it kind of was like it left on a cliffhanger,
It doesn't sound
right?
like you like Remedy's like landing.
But
like,
see,
you might
Daniel,
like their
I like
and you like their.
Yeah,
I just don't like crazy sci-fi stuff. That's why I'm not completely sold. Because Jeff was saying, I'm a big sci-fi nut. Observation. I'm like, I'm probably not gonna like Observation. Because I just don't.
I know,
because
you're a jerk. I know.
But guess what?
Ouch.
You and I mutually don't care, so.
That's cool. At least we agree on Kingdom Hearts 3 story, so that's good.
Hey, based on what you guys have heard, and I think we might need Jeff to make a case for it, where do we think Observation should land? Because I think it legitimately made this list out of... Most of us are curious about it, but only one of us has really played it. Where's a fair spot for this one to land?
Put the mouse on it and then hit the delete button. That's where it belongs.
That's a fair spot?
Right there. Just put right there, yeah. Just put the mouse over it and then hit the delete button.
I'm surprised it made it, honestly, but, it is what it is.
Let me make it look like American
It is what it
American
is.
Truck Simulator.
Best story ever, brother.
So we've got Gears 5 in the 5th spot, and then Control, and then Call of Duty right now is sitting above Code Vein. Any issues with that? The problem with Code Vein is that it's got a very promising premise, but none of us really know what happened.
Yeah.
Well, anime
With
stuff
Code
happens,
Vein?
I'm guessing.
I'm.
And the thing, Tim,
Someone gets amnesia. There's a guide who becomes God. You know, like
there's big
Kyle, there is
boobies.
legitimately a lot of amnesia going on in that game right away. There's a lot.
I know, because you said it was anime.
Yeah,
I know.
there's a lot of amnesia.
Is there different power levels?
You can level up, kinda. So yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure,
I'm telling you guys, don't undersell this. Like if you
I've already downloaded it.
if
dude.
you
Don't
like
oversell it.
if you
You're
like
already told me,
anime,
It's only
like-
because we know the promise of it, because the premise is strong and what you've played so far is strong, but we don't
and
know.
this is going to be Derek's apology in 2 weeks, where I'm like, Derek, you're right. This is
So,
really
is there a character?
Sorry.
Is there a character that powers up for like 20 hours and then it says to be continued, and then you go back,
I hope so.
and then the sequel comes out and he's still
That's what I
charging?
remember of early Dragon Ball Z was Piccolo just flying in the sky, just yelling.
Hey, guess what? It's 300 episodes later, and it's called Super now, and it's still the same. So don't worry about it.
Fair.
Not much change.
Dude, the Spirit Bomb, like that whole Spirit Bomb section. Jeez.
He does that like 7 times.
So
yeah.
I think enough of us have played Fire Emblem, and at least one has finished it, right? Kyle, you finished that game?
Yeah, 1.5 times. Yeah.
Jeez.
The problem is, when I look at games like that compared to Code Vein, I'm not sure really where to land them, because they're very different. They're both very anime style. They both have really
Yeah.
cool premises, but we at least have one that's been completed. And I know it's kind of a dumb tiebreaker, but I feel like that game's been finished, and you can confirm it's high quality throughout.
Like it hits hard on the end.
I feel
What,
like it
Fire
reviewed
Emblem?
high,
Yeah,
right?
Fire
Satisfied.
Emblem compared to Code Vein.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
rank-
all about story.
I would rank
play
Fire
bad,
Emblem.
Bad gameplay games. Like I almost played that. What's that? Is it Stay Alive or what was that game?
Oh,
It
yeah.
was,
Yeah.
I almost played that game this year.
That was a
because I
Square
like,
game. Like, you would have been
I know,
justified
and it's
buying.
like with Yoji Shinkawa doing the art,
That's-
like
yeah.
Metal Gear. Like it's so crazy to
Such
me.
a missed
I
opportunity.
almost played that game because people were like, "But the story's kind of good," and I'm like, "Well, I might play it then." I'm like, "What the? Oh, the gameplay looks way too bad." But like, I'm that guy who like I favor story. So when I'm saying like the ending hits, and that's why I know I'm right about Control and Derek's wrong. Like the ending, like
True.
it hits and like it's good. You know, like it's the Fire Emblem like really it payoffs all the character stories. Everyone's not gonna make it, not even because just your choices. Like sometimes like the story just doesn't go your way, you know, and it's
See, the reality about lists
really
like
cool,
these
man.
is that
It's cool.
Fire Emblem on many lists legitimately could be the best story of the year for certain folks, and that totally makes sense. Same thing with Call of Duty.
Yeah.
If you prefer modern kind of takes on the Middle Eastern conflicts, stuff like that, it's totally one of the best, war stories that I've played. You can say the same thing for Code Vein, Kingdom Hearts 3, if you like craziness. I totally get it. Like, any of these could be a legit number one. I'm trying to do it based off the cases that have been made for them. And I feel
Sure.
like the bottom half here is kind of where we've landed with the cases that have been made. And I got to be very fair about the last two, Kingdom Hearts 3 and Observation. We haven't really sat down and said, all right, Jeff and Daniel or anyone else, walk us through where this one should belong and why you love it. So
It's so different. These are two
They
very
are.
different. I mean, I haven't
Yes.
played Observation.
and even Judgment. You can put all 3 of those weird Japanese, or I guess just the 2 Japanese games and one weird indie game, like in the same group together, where they're all 3 kind of niche and all kind of weird, but all very story driven. All 3 different audiences probably
Yeah.
as well. So
the thing with Observation,
I really don't know how you do this.
the thing with Observation, like when I first saw it and I was like, oh, Devolver Digital, they do some wacky stuff. I was like, it just immediately was like intrigue. That's like the first thing that popped in
same.
my head.
Yeah.
Like, this is
Yeah, they publish
intriguing.
good stuff, man.
I like Devolver. Yeah, producers.
they do My
Awards,
Friend
so
Pedro. They
publisher.
do all kinds of weird stuff, man.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they do really
they
good
did
stuff.
Ape Out too. And,
Ape Out.
Yeah.
So right now the order is, again, we settled on the top 4 of Outer Worlds, Death Stranding, Star Wars, A Plague Tale, Gears. Those are our top 4, and then Gears 5 and Control at number 5 and 6. And the rest of the 12, starting at number 7, is Fire Emblem, Call of Duty, Code Vein, Judgment, Kingdom Hearts 3, and Observation. And that's kind of just based off of the conversations and the cases that have been made. How do we feel about that final top 12 list?
Oh,
It might be the best it gets for me because I'm literally the only one that can speak
I was
to
gonna throw
Observation.
Jeff a bone and say that Observation should be where Code Vein is, but
It's okay. I'm literally the only one that's like, at least.
I
somebody
mean,
else has
I
played
would
Code
throw
Vein.
him a bone if I cared, but like I said, this doesn't sound like an interesting.
well, that's why we're
Derek,
two different
do you,
people.
Didn't you just buy it there?
Derek, do you care?
Yeah. I don't care. Actually, I made
care.
Tim buy it, and I'm not gonna play it.
Oh no, you're right. No, Tim did just buy it. No, you're right.
He hasn't actually bought it. He'll actually forget.
I'm
after
not
we
even
get
at
off the
home.
book.
Okay.
Press him on it so you can play it and hate it.
Tim, did you get an observation? What's that? We just talked about it.
Are you making an
Sci-fi
observation?
game. Jeff really loved it. Who?
Yet
Who?
again,
Yeah.
your impersonation of me, spot on.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought it was Tim first. I thought
Yeah, you thought, was that Tim? Was
When
that
did
me?
you change clothes?
Yeah.
Every time Katie talks to him.
Oh, jeez.
Oh no.
So true. All right. I am going to go ahead and lock that in as our top 12 best story. The Outer
Lock
Worlds,
it in.
Death Stranding, Star Wars, Plague Tale, Gears 5, Control, Fire Emblem, Call of Duty, Code Vein, Judgment, Kingdom Hearts 3, and Observation. I got to tell you, for a year that has been so weak with video games, we've had some amazing visual and story experiences that as we've just discussed in 2019.
That's true. That is true.
I would say so. Yeah, we all have this like weird thing that this year was not very good, but it was obviously kind of pretty.
It
good.
was.
I think it was good, but it wasn't like. I mean, last year was like. Are you kidding me with this?
No.
This year,
It can't all
last
be
year was
legendary.
insane.
It can't all
2017
be
Well,
legendary.
I know,
and
I know.
2018 were both phenomenal.
Well, Kyle,
outstanding.
Kyle,
years
they
of
can't
gaming,
all
absolutely.
be last year. It's called 2020.
2020 is going to be
Oh, it
insane.
is. It's true. You're right. Have you seen last? Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
God, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be so
Dude,
great.
I think-
March alone. I mean, come on.
I feel like
I
2019
can't
has
even.
been the year of the unexpected good games. Like I wasn't expecting
Yeah.
EA's Star Wars game to be that great. I really wasn't. Like I
Or
wasn't
an EA
expecting
game
a
either,
Plague
yeah.
Tale to come out of nowhere and blow me away with its story and its
Yeah, but here's the
Right,
thing.
right.
This
Same-
is the
I know
question
you're
you
not
got to
correct,
ask.
but-
Would you have played a Plague Tale if it was 2020 and that's when a game came out? Probably not. We probably don't play this game. I think because this year has been... I would say it's good. I mean, it's not bad.
I think it's good. It's above
But
average.
because
though.
it's good, I think
agree.
we've taken chances and played more games
Yes.
that maybe we would have passed up on,
Yes.
like Judgment, or I think we would have played Fire Emblem and Control and stuff like that. But like Code Vein, I don't think I would talk
might
so
have
highly about
might have
it.
skipped it, right? Might have bought it, but
Yeah.
then not really played it that much, right?
Yeah,
So
that's what
yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a very very good point. So all right,
Because I'm smart, bruh.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
you just undermined
sounded
whatever
like a
goodwill you
Wookiee.
just got. All right.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?